Hi, you're watching Reddit Confessions, where real people spill the kind of truths you never see coming. Let's skip the fairy tales today. No romantic beginnings. No how we met. This story starts where most people pretend it ends. In the moment, everything breaks. It was a Thursday, not a dramatic one. No rain, no yelling, just the slow, steady sound of a clock ticking above the microwave and the hum of my wife stirring her tea. She sat across from me in silence. No phone in hand, no TV on, which was strange in itself. She always had noise. Music, podcasts, gossip, anything to keep from sitting with her own thoughts. But that morning, she was quiet, focused. She took a long sip, set her mug down, looked me right in the face, and said, "I regret every single day I spent with you." That was it. No emotion, no apology, just cold, casual regret, like she was canceling a dinner reservation. You know what I did? Nothing clever, nothing strong. I didn't scream or cry or slam anything. I just reached into my pocket, pulled off my wedding band, and dropped it on the kitchen counter. It spun for a second before settling flat. "Then let this be the last one." That's all I said. She blinked, almost surprised I didn't beg. Then she left. No suitcase, no dramatic exit. Just grabbed her keys and vanished. For 7 days, I didn't hear from her. No calls, no texts. No, I didn't mean it. It was like she evaporated. And maybe part of me hoped she would. Because sitting in that empty house, I started to realize how long I'd been living like a placeholder. The strange thing wasn't the silence. It was how easy it was to breathe again. Until the 7th night. That's when someone knocked at my door. Not her. Not a neighbor. It was her best friend. The one with the perfect nails, the smirking eyes, and the attitude I'd tolerated for years because it came with the package deal. But this time, she wasn't smirking. She looked like she hadn't slept. Her mascara was smudged, her hair was pulled into a lazy knot, and she was holding something in her hand, a manila envelope that looked like it had been opened and sealed again, maybe more than once. I opened the door. She stepped in without asking, sat down like she'd done it 100 times, but never had. And then she said the words that made me feel like the floor had vanished. "I should have told you a long time ago, but I didn't think she'd go this far." What was inside that envelope? Let's just say, it changed everything I thought I knew about my marriage. Mila, that's her name, Cassidy's best friend, held the envelope in her lap like it was something radioactive. She didn't look me in the eye, and I didn't rush her. Honestly, I didn't want to touch that thing. I didn't want to know. I had spent a week breathing silence for the first time in years, and whatever was inside that envelope felt like a match waiting to drop in the middle of it. She finally broke the silence and said, "You were never supposed to see this." But she crossed a line, and I'm not covering for her anymore. I didn't say a word, just nodded. My mouth was dry. My hands were cold. Mila opened the envelope and slid out a series of printed screenshots, messages, emails, and a photo I immediately wished I could unsee. Cassidy, half-dressed, wrapped around someone who wasn't me. And it wasn't just once. Mila said she'd known about the affair for months, that Cassidy had met this guy at some creative networking retreat her firm sponsored in Arizona. A man named Bryce. Of course, it had to be Bryce. She said his name like it had taste and color and meaning. She talked about him like a teenage girl would talk about her first crush, excited, nervous, lit up in ways I hadn't seen her glow in years. And all that time, she came home to me, ate dinner next to me, slept in the same bed, said nothing. Worse still, Cassidy had told Mila, and I quote, "Gareth won't ever leave. He needs me too much." Let that sink in. All those nights I thought I was holding us together by being patient, by being consistent, by being the quiet rock she could count on. She wasn't admiring me. She was pitying me, mocking me, counting on the fact that I wouldn't have the guts to walk away. Mila watched me read every word. She looked genuinely sorry. I told her she was being cruel. I begged her to stop. I even offered to tell you myself months ago, but she made me promise not to. She paused. But then what she said last week, that she regretted every day with you. I couldn't keep her secret after that. The truth is, I wasn't even angry. Not at first. I was embarrassed. Because deep down, I had felt it coming. I just didn't want it to be real. I wanted to believe that love could be earned, that if I was good enough, patient enough, dependable enough, she'd come back to me. But she wasn't coming back. She had already left. She was never mine to begin with. I thank Mila, genuinely, for having the courage to show me, for finally pulling the curtain back. But I also told her to leave. Not because I was mad at her, but because I needed to fall apart without an audience. I needed space to let the weight of 9 years hit me properly. When she left, I sat on the floor and stared at those pages for hours. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just existed, like a shadow of the person I used to be. I didn't sleep that night. And I didn't go to work the next day. I started packing instead. Not her things. Mine. Because for the first time in almost a decade, I realized something painfully liberating. I didn't want her back. I just wanted me back. And that's when the next twist arrived, in the form of a message from someone I hadn't spoken to in years. The morning after Mila left, I woke up on the floor. No pillow, no blanket, just a stiff neck and a hollow feeling in my chest. The papers were still scattered beside me, like broken pieces of something I used to believe in. My phone was dead, and I didn't even bother plugging it in. What was the point? The one person I used to wait on texts from had said her final words to me a week ago. Or so I thought. When I finally turned the phone back on that afternoon, a message buzzed in almost instantly. But it wasn't from Cassidy. It was from Darren, her ex. Now, I haven't heard that name in years. The last time he showed up in conversation was early in our relationship, when Cassidy admitted they had history. It was one of those vague exes she said didn't matter, the kind you're so glad you outgrew. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? But there it was. A message from a man I hadn't spoken to since I helped him jumpstart his car outside our old apartment 6 years ago. Didn't mean to stir anything. But you should know, she reached out to me a few months back. I read it 3 times. My heart sank. This wasn't just about Bryce. Cassidy had been shopping for a backup plan long before her Arizona getaway. I stared at the screen, unsure whether to reply or throw the phone against the wall. Curiosity won. What do you mean reached out? I typed, thumbs shaking. His response came quickly. Screenshots. Voice notes. More than I could process in one sitting. I sat down on the same kitchen chair where she told me she regretted me, like it was just a casual decision, and listened to her voice, soft and almost flirty. Things are complicated right now. Gareth means well, but he's not who I thought he'd be. He's just small. Small. That word punched harder than I expected. Not because of the insult, but because of how carelessly she said it. Like I wasn't a person. Like I was a placeholder. A mistake she tolerated until something better came along. Cassidy had messaged Darren at least 8 times over 3 months. Each time, testing the waters. A subtle compliment here. A memory there. A casual, remember when we used to, the worst part? He never responded inappropriately. He was polite, distant even. It wasn't Darren I was upset at. It was her. She wasn't just cheating physically. She was looking for emotional lifeboats. Sprinkling breadcrumbs everywhere. Bryce was just the one who bit. That night, I deleted every photo I had of us from my phone. Not out of rage, but because I couldn't stand the look on my own face anymore. The man smiling next to her in every shot, clueless and devoted, while she was already halfway out the door. And just as I was about to power off for the night, a new message appeared. From Cassidy. No apology. No explanation. Just a line that froze the blood in my veins. I heard Mila talk to you. I need to see you. It's urgent. I didn't know it yet, but that message would lead to the most humiliating confrontation of my life. One that would answer everything, and still leave me with more questions than closure. I didn't respond right away. I must have stared at Cassidy's message for 20 minutes, rereading that one line over and over again. I need to see you. It's urgent. Urgent? After telling me she regretted every day with me? After vanishing for a week and letting her best friend show me the dirty truth? She wanted to talk now? But I wasn't strong. Let's be clear. I wish I could say I ignored her, that I moved on like some hero in a breakup song. But I didn't. I told her to come over. Part of me still needed to hear it from her lips, to watch her squirm, lie, maybe even confess. I needed closure, even if it meant breaking myself a little more to get it. She arrived that night, wearing the same perfume that used to stop me mid-sentence. Except now it made my stomach turn. She walked in like she owned the place, like I hadn't spent the past week pulling myself out of emotional wreckage. Her face was calm, like this was a business meeting. She sat across from me and said, "Before you say anything, I need you to listen." Her voice was rehearsed. Not shaky. Not sorry. She had come with a speech, not an apology. "I know what Mila showed you. I know it looks bad. But you need to understand. Things between us stopped working years ago. I didn't know how to say it. You just wouldn't change. You were always there, always predictable, always just too soft. That word again. Soft. As if love was supposed to come with armor and arrogance. As if being loyal, being steady, being emotionally available somehow made me less of a man in her eyes. I tried to stay for your sake, she continued, but I was suffocating. Bryce made me feel alive again. He listens. He challenges me. I interrupted her. Not with anger. Not with shouting. Just with one quiet question. Were you ever going to tell me? Her face changed for the first time. Like she'd been caught off script. She blinked. I don't know. Maybe. I thought you'd figure it out eventually. That answer broke something in me. She didn't deny it. She didn't even flinch. She'd just decided I was too dull to notice or too weak to act. She underestimated me, and the saddest part? She was probably right. I brought the divorce papers, she added. I thought, maybe we could just make this easy. Easy. 9 years. 9 birthdays. 9 winters. Family vacations. Hospital visits. Silent forgiveness. And now she wanted easy? I didn't respond. I just stood up, walked to the kitchen, opened the drawer we never really used, the one with rubber bands and takeout menus, and pulled out a small blue box. She watched me, confused. This was supposed to be for our 10th anniversary, I said, opening the lid. Inside was a new ring. Sleek, simple, engraved with the words, "Still choosing you." I didn't hand it to her. I didn't throw it. I just set it gently on the table, next to the divorce papers, and whispered, "Thank you for helping me see who you really are." Cassidy didn't say a word. She just stared at the ring like it was foreign. Like she didn't understand it was never just metal. It was 9 years of me believing in something she'd stopped caring about a long time ago. She left in silence. But the next twist didn't come from her. Not directly. It came the following morning, in the form of a knock at the door. And when I opened it, it was the last person I ever expected to see standing there. I hadn't slept. Again, after Cassidy walked out, I just sat there in the same chair, staring at the blue ring box still resting on the table. I should have thrown it in the trash, should have slammed the papers in her face, should have yelled, but I didn't. I just kept thinking about how she used to laugh in this kitchen, how she once said, "You're the only person who makes me feel safe." And now that same woman looked me in the eyes and thanked me for making her life easy to walk away from. The next morning, I got up late, still wearing yesterday's clothes, and tried to pretend the world was still spinning normally. I brushed my teeth, made coffee I didn't drink, and stood barefoot in the hallway with my thoughts drowning me. That's when I heard it, a knock on the front door. Not urgent, not aggressive, just steady, like whoever it was knew I was inside and had no intention of leaving. I expected maybe Cassidy again, or Mila, but when I opened the door, it was Bryce. Yes, that Bryce, the man from the photos. The new beginning she traded me in for. He stood there with a smugness that didn't match the occasion. Khakis, aviators, cologne strong enough to choke a cactus. I couldn't even process what I was looking at first. He said, coolly, "Can we talk?" I blinked. "Are you serious?" He nodded, and without waiting for permission, he stepped inside. I froze. I should have stopped him, kicked him out, done something. But instead, I just stood there, stunned, as he made himself comfortable in my living room, like a man visiting an old apartment he used to rent. "I figured you'd want answers," he said. "Cassidy's spiraling. She didn't expect Mila to betray her like that. And after last night, she said you looked different, like you weren't broken anymore. That kind of scared her." I didn't say a word. He kept talking. "Look, I'm not here to apologize. What happened between me and Cassidy, it wasn't planned, but it wasn't a mistake either. She needed something real." That sentence flipped a switch. I laughed, quietly, bitterly, and replied, "So you came here to justify it?" "No," he said, shaking his head. "I came here because you deserve to know she was never honest with either of us." Then he handed me something. A flash drive. "She lied to you, man. But she lied to me, too. I thought I was the only one. Turns out, she's been seeing someone else this whole time. Neither of us were the one she really wanted." I felt the air shift. My knees went weak. The pain that had been simmering suddenly twisted into something else. Confusion, betrayal on top of betrayal. I stared at the flash drive in my hand, unsure if I even wanted to know what was on it. "She's reckless now," Bryce said, heading toward the door. "She told me last night she might be pregnant, that it could be mine." Or yours. Or someone else's. She laughed when she said it. Then he left. Just like that. I locked the door behind him and collapsed on the couch, flash drive still clenched in my fist like a detonator. I hadn't even begun to process the idea of Cassidy playing both of us, or the terrifying possibility of a child being involved, when my phone buzzed again. Another message. This time from an unknown number. I think we need to talk. You don't know me, but I know Cassidy. We work together. There's something you need to see. And just like that, the unraveling continued. The message sat on my screen like a ticking bomb. I think we need to talk. You don't know me, but I know Cassidy. We work together. There's something you need to see. I read it over and over, debating whether to respond or throw my phone across the room. At that point, nothing made sense anymore. I thought Cassidy's betrayal had reached its final chapter, but it turns out I hadn't even hit the halfway point. Curiosity won. Again, I typed back. Who are you? The reply came instantly. Name's Margot. I'm on Cassidy's project team at Sutherland Creative. Can we meet? I'll explain everything. I didn't know who to trust anymore, but something about the timing, the tone, the complete lack of hesitation, it didn't feel like a prank or setup. So I said yes. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop not far from her office. I told myself I was going just to listen, just to confirm whether this stranger actually knew anything. But part of me already sensed the truth would hit harder than I wanted. When I arrived, Margot was already there. Early 30s, professional, tense. Not the dramatic type. She didn't waste time with pleasantries. I wasn't sure if I should come, she said, looking around like she was being watched. But after what happened in the office yesterday, I couldn't keep my mouth shut anymore. I leaned in. What happened? She exhaled. Cassidy's been seeing someone in our company. Not just casually. It's been going on for over a year. Everyone knew but you. Most people thought you two were already separated. That's how she talked about you. Like some sad little guy she hadn't figured out how to leave yet. Those words cut deeper than I expected. Sad little guy. I couldn't get them out of my head. She's been using the Arizona retreats as cover, Margot continued. But the guy she's actually with isn't Bryce. It's her boss, Loren Caldwell. I blinked. Wait. She told me Loren was married. With kids. He is, Margot said flatly. And his wife found out 3 days ago. The room tilted. She didn't just cheat on you, Gareth. She positioned herself to replace his wife. She told people she was ready for a bigger life, whatever that means. Yesterday, Lauren's wife stormed into the office, threw a stack of printed emails across his desk, and Cassidy was escorted out by security. I felt sick. She's been playing all of you, Margot said. Bryce, Loren, even Darren. I don't think it's about love for her. It's about control, power, image. Then she slid her phone across the table. I shouldn't be showing you this, but I recorded what she said after security escorted her out, just so I had proof in case things got legal. I hit play. Cassidy's voice, sharp and cold. He was never going to leave me. I could have kept them all on the hook. Gareth, Bryce, Loren, they're all the same. Weak. Predictable. But now they've made me the enemy? Fine. I'll burn it all down. I stopped the recording. My hands were trembling. Not from sadness, but from sheer disbelief. I had spent so many years tiptoeing around her emotions, sacrificing parts of myself to keep her happy, always wondering if I was doing enough. And here she was, reducing me to some dispensable fool in her twisted chess game. Margot leaned forward. I know it's a lot, but I thought you deserved to hear it from someone who doesn't have a stake in it. I nodded slowly, struggling to process the weight of everything I'd just learned. The betrayal wasn't personal to Cassidy. It was sport. A calculated strategy. But what happened next? That came out of nowhere. As I walked back to my car, my phone buzzed again, this time with a voicemail. From Cassidy. I didn't want to listen to it. But I did. And what she said, it changed everything, again. I sat in the driver's seat with the engine off, phone still in my hand, staring at the glowing notification like it was some cursed relic. One voicemail. From her. After everything, the cheating, the lies, the smug walkout, the ring on the table, she had the nerve to leave me a voice message. I almost deleted it without listening. Almost. But of course I didn't. Because some part of me, that pathetic, loyal, hopeful part, still needed to know what she had to say. I tapped play and braced myself. Her voice came through soft. Too soft. Gareth, if you're listening to this, it means I don't have many options left. No greeting. No apology. Just straight into the storm. I know Mila showed you things. I know Bryce probably showed up, too. And I bet Margot couldn't resist getting involved. That's fine. It's all out now. But you don't understand the full picture. I laughed bitterly in the car. Here we go, the classic manipulator's defense. You don't understand. But I kept listening. I didn't regret every day with you. That wasn't fair. I said it to hurt you. And I did. I know I did. But you don't know what it's like to feel like you're fading while standing still. You were always good. Predictable. And I thought that was what I wanted. But over time, I felt like I was disappearing. She paused. I could hear her breathing. Loren, that wasn't supposed to happen. Neither was Bryce. I was spiraling. Yes, but I didn't think it would all unravel this fast. You were supposed to be my fallback. My constant. That sentence stung more than any insult she ever threw at me. My fallback. I'm not proud of what I did, she continued. But things have gotten worse. Lauren's wife, she's threatening to sue the company. HR wants nothing to do with me now. I've been cut off. No job. No income. Bryce ghosted me after seeing that flash drive. And Loren? He's pretending I don't exist. Another pause. I thought you'd come back. I thought you'd eventually reach out. But now I'm scared. Because you didn't. And maybe you're not the same Gareth anymore. She let out a shaky breath. Then, I'm at my mom's. I left a few of your things here. If you want to talk, or just pick them up, I'll be here. Please don't make me beg. And just like that, it ended. No dramatic goodbye. No, I love you. Just a desperate, unraveling thread of a woman who had burned every bridge and assumed mine would still hold. I sat there for a long time, replaying it in my mind. She didn't want me. She wanted refuge. An emotional motel to crash in after the penthouse affair came crashing down. But what she didn't know, and what I hadn't admitted even to myself until that moment, was that I wasn't hers to crawl back to anymore. Still, something about that message felt off. Not just emotionally. Logically, she said she was at her mom's. But Cassidy's mother had passed away 3 years ago from cancer. I'd been at the funeral. I gave the eulogy. So either she was lying, again, or she was trying to get me to walk into something unexpected. I knew I shouldn't go. But the next morning, I drove out to the address anyway. And what I found there wasn't her. It was someone else. Someone I hadn't seen in years. Someone holding a child. A child that looked a lot like me. I parked across the street, heart pounding like I was walking into a trap. Cassidy had said she was at her mother's, a woman who, as I knew very well, had passed away. The address she gave wasn't familiar either. Not our old apartment. Not her sister's place. And definitely not anywhere near where we used to spend time together. But I still walked up the driveway, like some ghost chasing the last bit of his past. I wasn't there to forgive her. I wasn't there to argue. I just needed to see, once and for all, who she really was without the lies. The door opened before I even knocked. And standing there wasn't Cassidy. It was Melanie, her old college roommate. The same woman who used to laugh behind her wine glass at dinner parties, whispering about boys who fall too easy. I hadn't seen her in years. She looked shocked, pale even. Then she stepped aside, and that's when I saw him. A small boy, maybe 4 or 5. Curly hair. Deep-set eyes. Eyes that looked way too familiar. Melanie looked at me like she had just broken some rule she'd promised to keep. She's not here, she said. Cassidy left 2 days ago. She didn't tell you? No, I said quietly. She told me you weren't supposed to exist. She sighed, then motioned to the boy playing with a toy car on the rug. That's Noah. I already knew what she was about to say before she did. It was in the way she avoided my gaze. In the way her hands trembled as she reached for a folded envelope from the kitchen counter. She asked me to give you this when you finally showed up. Inside the envelope was a DNA test. A real one. Certified. Stamped. The child was mine. Cassidy had known. For years. She just chose not to tell me. Maybe because it complicated her freedom, or maybe because keeping it hidden gave her leverage. But whatever the reason, she was gone now. She'd run out of people to manipulate. Left behind her lies and her child. I looked at Noah again. He stared back, curiously, like he was trying to figure out why this stranger looked just like him. And in that moment, I realized something I never thought I would. I wasn't angry. I was done. Done waiting for apologies. Done shrinking myself to hold someone else together. Done trying to rescue a woman who never once tried to rescue me. Noah didn't ask for any of this. But now that he was in front of me, I knew exactly what I needed to do. Not for Cassidy, not for revenge, but for myself. For the kind of man I forgot I was capable of being. I took a step forward, knelt down, and said softly, "Hi, Noah. I'm Gareth." His tiny hand reached for mine without hesitation. And just like that, the cycle ended. Not in bitterness, not in flames, but in something entirely unexpected. Hope. For the first time in years, I wasn't looking backward. I was moving forward. Not because the past stopped hurting, but because it stopped controlling me. Thanks for listening to my story here on Reddit Confessions. If you've ever uncovered something that completely rewrote your history, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share the most unexpected twist from your life, or tell us about a surprising historical event that still shocks you today. Let's connect through the truth, even the painful kind. And remember, no matter how dark the betrayal, there's always a way forward.